What's up, gamers? I'm your host, Cobra, and this is Freeroll Friday. This week, we're taking a look at Phantom Galaxies demo gameplay before we jump into our market watch. If you've been following along on Twitter, and if you're not already, you should definitely do that, then you know I've been tweeting about Phantom Galaxies all week, and the reason for that is very simple. I have been playing Phantom Galaxies all week, and the reason for that is simply because they have a large event finally coming up. This was planned at the beginning of the summer. It has been delayed a little bit, but here in September we are going to see them launch their first major event. And the thing that's cool about this event is that it is also the first opportunity to earn the Astra token, which is going to be the token that powers Phantom Galaxies. Now, earning requires that you own a Phantom Galaxies planet or asteroid. I am lucky enough to be an owner of a medium planet, which means there are a whole bunch of potential Astra tokens for me to earn. And I don't exactly know what that is going to entail, but I don't want to be starting from level 1 when the event launches. The event is going to consist of mining resources as well as killing pirates. So that is essentially the core gameplay in Phantom Galaxies, and very cool that that's what we're going to be experiencing during the event. Hopefully we are going to see a whole bunch of new players checking out the game, and if you're into gaming, I definitely recommend that you check this one out, because Phantom Galaxies has a very traditional PC or console game type feel to it. So let's talk a little bit about that gameplay itself. You have been seeing it behind me for a few minutes now, and in my opinion, this is maybe the most fun game that we have played to date. A little bit difficult to compare to some, and certainly examples like Guild of Guardians have provided demos that were a lot of fun as well. This feels like a traditional video game, a AAA title that you might purchase for your Xbox or PC, and that is cool, but not unexpected. The game in its current state is entirely off-chain, so it really is just a traditional Web2 AAA game at this point. The exciting and innovative parts that are going to be on the blockchain are still to come, and that's okay. In fact, I'm starting to prefer that method of rolling out the development, because it's awfully difficult to support the blockchain and token price before you have a functional and fun game. When you first jump in, you're going to be given the choice to choose an avatar. There's only 2 choices, male and female. Then they give you your starter mech and drop you into a tutorial mission of sorts. Now, I found this a good way to get started, and it doesn't take very long before you get to gameplay, which is appreciated for sure. That said, the tutorial itself is a little bit lacking in my opinion. Not a problem. This is a demo, and this is the type of feedback that they are looking for. Personally, I would have appreciated a little bit more hand-holding, especially around piloting the ship and the mech. It doesn't seem like they give you a whole lot of instruction around that, and frankly, I spent a lot more time than I would have expected finishing those tutorial missions, because there was a lot of guess and check to figure out how things worked. The game world itself is a large galaxy that you can navigate via a galaxy map and a bunch of hyperdrive stations. I think that's what they were called. Either way, they're essentially warp points that let you jump around the map, and then you can fly into various space stations or down to various planets to be on land. And you're going to do a bunch of both when you're playing the game. Early on, the primary missions are in space, let you get a feel for using your starfighter, and then it starts to shift into on-planet missions as well, where you're going to be in mech form only. There are currently 4 episodes released to this demo, and the 4th episode was just released yesterday, which is very cool. I haven't made it that far myself, but hopefully will be soon. There are a whole bunch of things to do in the game already. I have found various collectibles that I imagine are going to be scattered across the galaxy and unlock different items or resources in game. There's a whole bunch of different mechs that you can upgrade into. Each of those mechs can be upgraded and customized to your liking as well. And again, there's a whole bunch of battle missions to do out there today. So there's a lot of fun to be had playing this game already. It is not point and click. It is not farming. It is not DeFi dressed up as a video game. This is a fun space adventure, and I definitely encourage everybody to check it out. So having had a chance to go through a variety of missions now, I can tell you it is all a lot of fun. I am still not great at piloting my mech, especially when I'm going up against faster opponents. It can be awfully difficult to drag that mouse around, and when you're in space, you can go in literally every single direction. So I am certainly getting better at it, but more of a learning curve there than I would have expected. Again, I think that would be reduced if I was using the preferred controller, but it has been fun to master, and I imagine after a few more hours of gameplay, I will be even better at it. The mech battles, on the other hand, already feel quite smooth and was pretty natural right off of the bat. I didn't realize, or rather I forgot, that the shift button was a booster for the first half of my first mission, and it was going quite slow since I was literally just walking around. However, once I remembered that and started using the booster to get around, I found that the movement and control I had over the mech was both a lot of fun and really well dialed in, especially in comparison to the ship. Now, those are different game modes, and they should behave differently, but I think the mech battles, perhaps being a little bit more simple since you're on land, but either way, they're definitely better fine-tuned and a more enjoyable battle experience. So at this point, you're probably thinking, Cobra, we want to check the game out ourselves. How do we do it? I have all of the instructions linked for you below. Playing the demo does require that you own an NFT. However, the good news is that it can be any NFT from the Origin collection, which again, linked below, and the cheapest ones currently are selling for less than $4, so easily worth that price to get access to the game. The demo will easily provide more than $4 worth of entertainment, so that is a no-brainer. That said, if you are interested in the NFT collecting part of the game, you should definitely check out a previous video I did about the NFTs that are involved in this collection, because there's quite a bit there, still plenty of time for you to catch up and build your collection, and at the end you're going to be able to claim in-game usable NFTs that I think will have some real value. There's going to be a couple of mechs plus a couple of avatars, and none of those will be things you can get in any other way in the game. So personally, I am going to try and get at least one of everything, potentially 2 of everything, so that I have some extras to sell off. But the point here is that it is relatively inexpensive to get into this game and try this demo. I have also linked the instructions for downloading the game itself in case you haven't done that yet. That does take a little bit of time because it's a bigger file, but well worth it and not difficult to do. And now it's time to jump into our weekly Market Watch update. A little bit more of a mixed bag this week versus the almost all red that we saw last week, which is a welcome change. That said, the overall market and economy is still not in a great place, so expect to see plenty more red in the future as we continue to track these projects. Otherside seems to have found a natural floor last week as it seemed to bottom out. Then just a couple of days ago, we got a new trailer from Otherside, which is very exciting. It didn't cause a ton of action in the marketplace, although we are seeing some prices up. The overall floor is up to 1.75 again, which is a 10% increase. The biogenetic swamp remained flat at 3.71, and the codas are up to 14.29, which is a 12% increase. Illuvium also appears to be getting closer and closer to releasing their product. We are currently playing the beta version of just one game mode called Survival. It is a lot of fun, and in my opinion, it should be pretty close to being ready for a beta release, which will be a big step for another very ambitious project. Their land NFTs this week are mostly down a little bit. The tier 1s are at 0.29. That's under the 0.3 mark that I have been waiting since the mint for it to reach. So I think very soon we are going to be talking about purchasing some Illuvium Land in a transaction update in the near future, but we haven't quite pulled the trigger on that yet. The tier 2 land is at 0.79. Those are both down 6 and 8% respectively. The tier 3 land, however, is up 16% to 3.31. Very little movement for our other Immutable X project, Guild of Guardians. We see the rare heroes down 3%, the legendary heroes down 6%, and then the epic heroes and legendary pets are flat. That's pretty close to being flat across the board, which is not a surprise. It's been a slow week for Guild of Guardians. The bloodbath for Riot Racers continues this week as we see lots of double-digit red numbers. The reason for this is that the large update that they did earlier in August really didn't go over super duper well. A bunch of the features were needed, but the token price remains a problem, and that has driven a lot of the interest in playing the game away, which is too bad. I do expect that this team will pivot and find a way to improve the project, because amongst all of the projects that I am involved in, I don't think there's any team that listens to its community's feedback more than Riot Racers does. Part of that feedback includes going back to a focus on making the game a little bit more fun, which I expect to see in the next updates. As for prices, the Artemis car is down 21% to 0.0079, which is getting awfully close to zero. Apollo cars remain flat at 0.022, and the Genesis cars have continued its slide down 15% to 0.05. We see a Genesis driver at under 0.001, which is down 27%. We've seen the activity from the Frontier team start to pick up again. They are rolling out an event, which is both an event and a new mantra for the team. It's called Regenesis, and the point of Regenesis is really to re-engage the community in an active way. The team's been developing a ton and really heads down over the summer, which is great for the development standpoint, but tough for the community because it's hard for us to see what's happening and understand where the project is going if the team's not talking to us. We've seen a big uptick in that. The Watcher was on Orphan's stream yesterday. I have linked that below for anybody that wants to check it out. I still have to view it myself, but the Watcher is always a good, entertaining guest to bring on, so likely some good info in there. As from a price standpoint, the keys continue to slide. We can get a stellar key for 2.39, which is down 11%. The data key itself is at 0.29, and that's down 3%. And the 0 unit seems to have found its floor. It has bounced back up to 0.02, which is right about where we expected it to land. But good news to see it stabilize a little bit. It's difficult to make recommendations for purchases in the current market conditions, especially if you're not willing to hold for potentially a long time. That said, a data key for under 0.3 feels way underpriced, and it's something that I've started to consider picking up a bunch of extras for, because once the utility for these gets turned on, and especially if market conditions are improved, I expect those to be going for well over an ETH each, as they bring a lot of utility to this project. And finally, with Parallel, they have a pack drop coming up in early September. We are going to talk about that pack drop in greater detail in the near future, but that has caused a little bit of excitement in the marketplace. We see the overall floor has risen a whopping 30%. However, those numbers are very small, so it's easy to get big percentages. The floor is up to 0.0026, which is still a very reasonable entry point. The SE floor is flat this week at 0.013, and the prime key finally dipped under 16 ETH, but only a little bit, as it's checking in at 15.85 and down 1%. And that wraps up this week's Freeroll Friday. I hope you found this fun and informative, and if you did, consider giving us a follow on Twitter. That's where I love to interact with the Web3 gaming community and answer all of your questions. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. It really helps to support the channel.